Oh god, no. Okay. Infinite Hall of Mirrors sound fixed, sorry. Beg pardon. Alright, let's go, eh? Hello and welcome to the Blobbot plays this encore Dictator. Sort of. Miss Morrigan Nightshade, fellow senior detective, had us play the first in the Santa Fe Mysteries series, and we had such a nice time with that game on the whole that we figured we'll check out the next one as well. Why not? How many more people can fellow policeman Night Sky believe are guilty? Let's find out. It's all of them. He's gonna think they're all guilty.
Martin Tasker, you know the real estate muckety-muck? His wife's missing. Looks like kidnapping. Dead for all we know. Press is crawling all over it. It's on the tube right now, Channel 6. Check it out.
Many more questions and answers at this hour surrounding the apparent abduction of Santa Fe socialite and businesswoman Randa Tasker. Her husband Martin Tasker and server Manuel Oroso heard screams late last night. When they went to investigate, Randa Tasker was gone. Tasker refused to speculate on who might be behind any apparent foul play or whether his wife's disappearance might be connected to last week's arson blaze at her upscale leather goods store. No one has been charged in that crime. In recent weeks, Martin Tasker has been under attack by local Native American activists who've been protesting his plans to expand the Seven Arrows ski resort. Channel 6 viewers will recall some 30 Indian families being evicted from their homes as bulldozers moved in to make way for timeshare condos and a new $5.5 million lodge. Soon after our arrival early this morning, Channel 6 spoke exclusively to Martin Tasker, who appealed to the party or parties responsible for his wife's abduction. Can we roll that?
I just want to say that whoever's behind this, I don't care. I just want my wife back. And if anybody has any information about her whereabouts, about what happened last night,
I was thinking he looks like he belongs in the Playboy Mansion, Mirage. He's got like a velvet dressing gown on and a powerful moustache.
Everything's gonna be all right. I promise. I'm sorry, that's all I want to say for right now.
That's it from the Tasker estate as we wait for investigators to arrive. This is Teresa Chavez for KITT Channel 6 News reporting.
Thank you, Teresa.
Love my dog. But you know what drives me nuts? And I know all you dog lovers out there know exactly what I'm talking about. Dog hair. Dog hair everywhere. On the couch.
Why are we getting an ad about dog hair?
I even get it in my beard, and it drives me nuts. I just want to take Jack and ship him off to the SPCA with no return address. But not anymore.
Why did they go to the bother of making fake TV ads? Day one.
Heading back to headquarters, over.
Copy that, D-52.
Okay, time to get told how to use our PDA again.
Ah, Detective. I was just grousing about you. You know Detective Night Sky here.
Detective?
This won't take very long. There's no point in wasting your time here when you could be wasting it out in the field. You're in overall charge of this investigation. But until you get your bearings, I've asked Night Sky to conduct the interrogations. I'm also assigning a Sergeant Rebecca Orlando to help you out. She'll be running down alibis for you. Now, right now, we don't have very much. We have as much as the reporters at the scene do. We got no suspects, no ransom demands, and no apparent motive. I emphasize apparent, detectives. Tasker's not exactly man of the hour around here since he booted those Indians out of their homes.
That doesn't explain why anyone would go after the wife.
Night Sky, tell him about that gadget you got there, that PDA, personal digital...
Assistant. We've been using these in the field. They're great. The chief or the lab can beep us 24 hours a day.
Okay. If you can't figure it out, you just push the help button. Now, fortunately, gadgets are not going to solve this case for us. Now, you got 5 days, detectives. Count them. 5. I've already heard from the suits at the Bureau, and they got about as much confidence in me as I got in you. So your job is to prove us both wrong. All right? Now, go out there. Give them hell.
Beep, 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 beep.
Detective Rebecca Orlando here, reporting for duty. Detectives, forensics will be closing up the crime scene in 7 hours, so you better head over there pronto. You've got 5 days to solve the mystery. Talk to Tasker, he's in the main house. Also, the servant Manuel Oroso is in the bungalow to the right. Buena suerte, there's no time to be wasting here in Santa Fe.
Okay, talk to Tasker and guy in bungalow to right. Sure.
D-52, proceeding to Tasker Estate, over.
Copy that, D-52.
Order a forensics report on this? Take a photo? And review our notes. A white terry cloth robe. The only thing I see is that. And this.
I don't know what Chief Weber has told you.
Only that your wife is missing.
Missing. Sounds so benign. If I thought she had ran out on me, I'd actually be relieved.
Were there problems between you?
Yep, no more so than in any marriage. Randa and I were happy. Delirious, really. Last night we celebrated our 3rd anniversary.
Did you forget this anniversary?
Why don't we start there?
It was Randa and I and a small group of friends at the Mesa Cafe.
If we might have their names, please.
Well, there was Randa's friend, Carrie March. I'm sure you know Carrie. Everyone knows Carrie. And my physician, Tom McClafferty. Oh, that reminds me. I need to take my medication.
Mixing your meds with alcohol.
Mark Kennedy. The antique dealer, he was there. And let's see. Oh, yes. Free Tibet.
G'day, Maury.
Randa's wacko artist friends, her invite, not mine. And things were going along fine until Andrew Grissom showed up.
Andrew Grissom? Was he invited?
Another guest?
Hardly. Andrew Grissom is a disgruntled investor. We met at the Arroyo Club. I'm afraid to say that their standards are not what they used to be. Anyway, Andrew invested in Tasker Industries, misplayed his hand, and now he blames me for it. Anyway, he shows up at the restaurant, begins to shout at me, and then he wants to deck me until the maitre d' throws him out. Oh, by the way, Free was running our new video camera. Maybe she picked it up on tape.
Oh, I thought that was a description, but the person's name might actually be Free Tibet. Wow.
And you left the restaurant at what time?
Around 11:15 or so, because I know we were at home by 11:30. Randa wanted to go swimming. She asked if I would join her, and I passed. And she went down to the pool alone.
What was she wearing?
Well, just a terry cloth robe and sandals.
And what happened next?
Well, I read for a few minutes and must have fallen asleep. Because the next thing I know, I hear this horrific scream from the pool area. Now, I was a little disoriented, so it took me a few minutes to get down there. When I did, I heard the car screeching away. The gate was open, and Randa was gone.
Awoke to horrible scream from pool, gets to pool, gate open, car screech, wife gone.
Can you think of anyone who might have wanted to hurt your wife, or you for that matter?
Business I'm in, detective, you make enemies like drunks make water. But Randa, no. Everyone loved her.
What about the arson incident at her leather goods store? Could there be a connection?
Everybody loves Randa.
And your own enemies?
No secret that a bunch of blowhards are up in arms about the Seven Arrows deal.
Blowhards. Is that another way of saying Native Americans?
Now that's a crock. I have given more work to the Native American than anyone else in Santa Fe. No, I'm talking about that half-cocked group of activists, like that legal aid lawyer, Dan Longfoot. Now that man has publicly threatened me.
And apparently there's nothing else to ask about.
If this was a kidnapping, Mr. Tasker, there might be an extortion attempt. I want you to keep us informed, understood?
Of course. And if you hear anything, you'll let me know.
You bet.
Okay. Motive. Presumably, at the moment, we'll go with jealousy. Can we check his alibi? That is all. Now, last time, I got told off by Maury for missing more clues, so let's pixel scrub a bit more diligently and see if there's anything else other than the, It's trying to tell me to go here with the flashy lights, but let's do a little bit more pixel scrubbing. I really do not see anything other than the t-shirt. Lovely roses.
Your name and occupation, please?
Manuel Rosso. For the last 5 years, I've been Senor Tasca's manservant.
Holy moly. Manuel is filigree hamster. Okay.
Tell us about last night.
Last night, I was in my room watching television. It was around 11:30 when the movie was almost over, and Senor Tasca came in. I went to them and asked them if there was anything that I could do for them, and they said no, that they would see me in the morning. Then they began to argue. I couldn't understand the words, but it was very loud. They argue a lot.
Then the couple argued.
Were you aware that Mrs. Tasker went for a swim about midnight?
No, you see, my room is very far away in the east wing of the house.
Doesn't know wife went for swim. Did you hear anything?
Did you hear any screams?
No, what Senor Tasca did. I was watching the television when he began to buzz me and very excitedly screaming at me to meet him down at the pool. Well, I of course rushed right to the pool, and when I got there, he was already there. And we searched for Senora Tasca, but we couldn't find her. The gate was open.
He agrees that the gate was open. Was that unusual?
Was that unusual?
See, Senor Tasca was very afraid of intruders, so he always made sure the gate was locked.
Who has keys to the gate?
Well, I do, and Senora Tasca and Senor Tasca, of course, and Dr. McClafferty, in case of an emergency.
Okay. There are only 1, 2, 3, 4 people with keys. What about the doggos?
How many dogs are out in the kennel area?
Two, very loud.
In-game.
So I noticed. Were they barking last night?
Last night? Not that I recall.
If there had been an intruder, wouldn't they have barked?
Not necessarily. Sometimes they bark, and sometimes they don't. They're not really watchdogs, senor.
Okay. Dog no bark, but they are not watchdogs.
Thanks for your help, Mr. Alonso.
I hope they find the senora okay.
Yeah.
Check your alibi. Motive? Greed? Question mark? They've been their manservant for a long time, was watching TV. They came home at 11:30. He was watching a movie. He heard them argue afterwards. Didn't know wife went for a swim. He was in his bungalow, didn't hear screams, everything we've already noted down. He always keeps the gate locked, tells us about who had the keys. They have 2 loud dogs. He didn't hear them bark, but they don't always bark when they see intruders.
The terry cloth robe was probably torn off in the course of a struggle with an assailant. Also, a trace fiber analysis shows several dark strands to be a camel hair mohair blend. You know, the kind associated with expensive jackets or overcoats. Also, the terry cloth belt seems to be missing.
Torn from fight, robe belt missing, and fibers from fancy jacket. And
In the interest of thoroughness, I've treated Martin Tasker as a potential suspect. It seems clear that if he was involved, he would have had some help. According to Tasker, he was in his bedroom when he heard screams. But his manservant, Manuel Oroso, never heard the screams. And when Oroso was buzzed to meet Tasker down at the pool, Tasker was already there. Also, Tasker was the only one to hear a car drive off. His prints are the only ones found at the scene, and one of his pills was found on the ground. I don't think we can rule him out at this time.
ooh. Forensics says... I thought his name was Ben Tasker, though. Says that Martin Tasker... Hill found at abduction question mark site. Otherwise seems okay. Alibi. Okay. We need to find Free Tibet and Andrew Grissom. Dan Longfoot. Free Tibet. Wow. That is one of the names of all time.
D-52, proceeding to free Tibet's residence, over.
10-4.
We are proceeding to Free Tibet.
My stomach has been in knots ever since I heard. If anything happens to Randa, I'll just die. A smart drink?
I'm sorry?
Smart drink. Yun tea fungus, bilabo root extract. I'm hoping it'll settle my nerves.
I'll pass.
Oh. Okay. Are you an artist? How could she not be?
You're an artist.
Sculptor, painter, conceptualist. But you're here to talk about Randa, not my art.
That's right.
I still can't believe we haven't heard from her. I keep waiting for Randa to call, spieling some story about alien abduction.
I seriously doubt aliens are involved in this.
Not even illegal ones.
Did you have someone in mind?
You don't really think that Randa's business being burned down and her kidnapping are unrelated, do you? Please, detective. We all know who did this. It was that horrid Christine Bellata woman. Randa caught her red-handed, and instead of pressing charges, she just let her go. That could have been a fatal error.
Thinks it was Christine Blotto. Oh, sorry, Bellotta.
Say your theory is right. Why wouldn't this Christine Bellata have taken her revenge right on the spot?
Maybe she's holding her for ransom. And between us and the lamppost, I wouldn't trust Martin as far as I could throw him. Randa's put up with a hell of a lot from Martin. I think he may have physically abused her.
Ooh. Thinks Martin is physically abusing wife. Do you have evidence to support this?
Is that just a vibe, or do you have some evidence?
Randa never said it.
It's just the vibe.
But sometimes she'd come over here crying, and if I pressed her for details, she'd clam up.
Do you think she was getting ready to leave her husband?
Never. Randa loved the good life too much. And if they divorced, she would have been left high and dry because of the prenuptial. No way would Randa have given up Martin's money.
Okay. Thinks wife is entrapped by money. Sure.
Anything in her behavior lately that was out of the ordinary?
She has been really jittery, preoccupied. When I asked her about it, she just changed the subject.
Anything
stand out
at
in
the
your
dinner?
mind from the anniversary dinner at the Mesa?
Randa was a little high-spirited, spilled champagne all over herself. But you can see for yourself, I was videotaping that night. I was watching it this morning. You want to have a look?
Please.
Here we are at the world-famous Mesa Cafe, where the world-famous Randa Tasker and the world-famous Martin Tasker are wining and dining their famous friends in celebration of their third, count 'em, anniversary new entree.
Another bottle of champagne, my louse. Seemed to drink the whole bottle. Oh,
Wife tipsy question mark at party? Based on the video?
Is it possible that Mrs. Tasker might have staged her own abduction to get away from her husband, maybe even cast suspicion on him at the same time?
That's absurd.
Of course she would have needed someone's help. Mind if I ask where you went after dinner that night?
I went to a midnight showing at the Lenzik.
Was at time of incident was at showing at the Lenzik. Whatever that is. Thank you for your
Thanks
time.
again, Miss Tibet. You mind if I borrow that videotape?
And gave us a videotape.
Just so long as I get it back.
Motive. None of these fit. Her motive would be like helping her escape the husband, so maybe jealous of the husband. Order your alibi get checked.
Have you two come up with anything yet? I'm getting heat you wouldn't believe. And I don't know what kind of conditions this woman's being kept under. Now get your butts into high gear now.
Day's over. Nothing else to do. Dan Longfoot, White Buffalo, Christine Bellotta. This was the one that Free Tibet thinks is guilty. Tom McClafferty, that was the doctor. Carrie March, that was one of the other friends at the party. Andrew Grissom, the guy who was an investor in the husband's company and lost money, and therefore that might be a motive. The tavern, Mark Kennedy, the antiques dealer who was at the party, and the Taskers again, as well as something way back here. The place that they're building the new lodge. I think Christine makes the
Proceeding
most
to Christine
sense,
Bellata's
but I think we're going to
residence.
run out of
Over.
time.
Copy that.
Miss Bellata,
Yes?
Santa Fe Police. We'd like to ask you a few questions if we could.
What's this about?
You're an employee of White Buffalo Leather Goods?
Not anymore, I'm not.
You mean since it burned down?
I mean since I was fired.
When was that?
A couple of weeks ago, a little more maybe.
Randa Tasker fired you?
She's the boss.
Give you a reason?
Well, she gave me a reason, all right. She accused me of stealing inventory, but that's a lie. She's been acting all strange recently and saw that I had begun to notice. She didn't want me around anymore, so she came up with an excuse to fire me.
Was accused of stealing inventory. Randa was acting strange, Chris noticed, and was fired for it, supposedly.
You say she was acting strangely?
Nervous, tense, on edge?
Any idea why?
No, not really. She's been all desperate for money, though, even more so than usual.
Desperate for money.
Know anything about how the fire got started?
I've got my idea about it, yeah. I think Granda did it for the insurance money. She claimed a lot more stuff got burned than really did.
Thinks it was an insurance scam.
You know anything about Randa Tasker's disappearance? Late Tuesday, early Wednesday morning?
No.
You know why someone might want to harm her?
You want to know the truth? She was a raging bitch. Treated people like dirt.
Whoa. Don't hold anything back there, Christine.
You remember where you were Tuesday night around midnight?
I was on the road to Albuquerque. I got in around 1 in the morning. Ask my sister if you don't believe me.
Thanks for the suggestion.
At time of incident was returning from Albuquerque. Got home at 1:30, I forget which. Revenge for being fired. Order her alibi verification. And we've run out of time for today.
He says that he was watching TV at the time, an infomercial on some cleaning fluid on Channel 54, which was confirmed by the TV station. Martin Tasker recalls that he did directly speak with Oroso on the intercom. Tasker vouches for his loyal and dedicated service, and was offended that we would question Oroso as a suspect. Anyway, it would be very trying for a man of his age and physique to commit the crime and be able to return to his residence in time to answer Martin's call.
Martin officially too old and frail to abduct the victim. Sure. Why can't I quit? Okay, there we go. Who do we check out next? So Free to Bet said Christine. Christine just thinks she's a massive bitch. Doesn't really have anything else. The next most reasonable was probably the guy who turned up at the party uninvited, so that was Andrew Grissom.
D-52, we're on our way to Andrew Grissom's residence. Over.
Okay, D-52, copy.
I do miss having Night Sky blame everyone at the end of
That's part of it.
every interview.
Whatever I did was only half of what that bastard deserved.
I assume that it's because it's in the middle of nowhere, but I don't actually know where Albuquerque is geographically. Where is it? Enhance. Enhance. Yeah, it's not really near anywhere else. The next nearest capital is like 500 kilometers away, something? I didn't watch Breaking Bad. I did watch Breaking Bad, but I have no idea where it is on a map. It's not like they started every episode by slowly zooming in from a satellite view into Albuquerque. Anyway, we went to Grissom's house. And what does Grissom have to say for himself?
You in the habit of taking the law into your own hands?
The man destroyed me. Every penny I had was invested in Tasker Industries. The man misrepresented the state of his financial independence. He falsified records. What the hell could I do? He told me and everyone he was associated with outright lies.
So you thought you'd get back at him through his wife?
What the hell are you talking about?
If you don't know, then you must be the only one in Santa Fe.
Are you talking about Randa Tasker's disappearance?
Good. For a moment there, I thought I might have to provide you with a translator.
You can't seriously believe that. Come on, detective. He treated her with the same contempt he treated his investors. Why the hell wouldn't she bail on him?
All the signs indicate a forcible abduction.
This is insane. Look, I know I was a little bit drunk. I took a swing at Martin. That's the extent of it. If you want someone who'd stoop so low as to kidnap the man's wife, why don't you talk to the real power behind the throne?
You've lost me.
Try Juan V. Hill, the candidate for state senator.
Admits to taking a swing at Martin, suggests talking to Yuan Vigil. Who the hell are they?
What's he got to do with Martin Tasker?
V. Hill's greased the political wheels for the expansion of Seven Arrows. That kind of clout doesn't usually happen without, something going on. And Martin Tasker's been a big contributor to his war chest.
He's an influence purveyor?
Where'd you go after you left the Mesa?
I drove straight home. Got there about 11, maybe a little after, I don't know.
And around 11:30?
Oh, then I was on the phone with my accountant in Albuquerque. I'm in the process of liquidating my assets. Guess I don't have to tell you that. And then I went next door and played cards with a couple of neighbors from, I don't know, about 11:45 to 1:30, something like that.
Okay, was on phone with accountant in Albuquerque at time of incident, and then playing cards with neighbors.
Thanks for your time, Mr. Grissom.
Yeah, right.
His motive would be revenge. Check his alibi. Wasn't half of what the bastard had coming to him. Vigil supports the Seven Arrows development, and Martin is one of the biggest contributors. Grissom referred to him as the power behind Martin's throne. Okay.
Tasker just brought this in. It was left in his mailbox. Crime Lab dusted it for prints, but nothing showed up. He said he wasn't sure whether to tell us, so watch who you tell about this, hmm? The good news is, it looks like Rhonda Tasker's still alive. The bad news is, she might not be much longer. You better find the SOB behind this, and find them soon.
The only
Ransom
makeable prints on the
demands
ransom note were
note?
Tasker's own, and there's not much I could tell from the note. The letters were cut for magazines. The glue used is available anywhere. Remember, you can get a closer look at the ransom note in the evidence file of your PDA.
The only fingerprints were Martin's. Which is contraindicated by this, which says that there were no fingerprints. I have your wife. I'll contact you soon.
The only makeable prints on the ransom note were Tasker's own,
Yeah.
and there's not much I could tell from the note. The letters were cut for magazines.
That's a bit
The glue
poor
used
that they
is available
contradict.
anywhere. Remember, you can get a closer look at the ransom note in the evidence file of your PDA.
Oh, I was meant to get the gate checked. Well, let's order that. That's my bad. That's what I was meant to find along with the robe, was the gate. He wants us to go talk to Yuan Vigil.
D-52, we're on our way to Juan Vigil's residence. Over.
Okay, D-52, copy.
Okay, what's Yuan got going for him? Oh, isn't he dapper?
What is it exactly that I'm being questioned about?
This is...
Oh, my bad. Dapper gentleman. What do you know about her abduction?
What do you know about Rhonda Tasker's disappearance?
Yeah, sorry about that. My bad.
Nothing except what I read in the papers.
You're a friend of Martin Tasker?
An acquaintance. He's one of the supporters of my senatorial campaign. Beyond that, there's nothing more I can tell you.
Aspiring senator?
Have you helped him out in his plans to expand Seven Arrows?
A good politician knows better than to get involved in somebody else's controversies. I've steered clear of that whole matter.
Not helping with Seven Arrows expansion. Or at least claims. Let's add claims to that.
If Tasker goes under, you lose one of your big supporters, am I right?
Look around you, Mr. Night Sky. Does it look like I'm the kind of guy who'd be affected by the loss of a single political ally?
Sometimes pride matters more than the bottom line.
Spoken like a man who's hoping to collect his pension.
Is he implying that he would have the policeman fired? I think that's what he's implying. Claims doesn't really care about Martin and Martin's money.
Mrs. Tasker was taken from her residence, most likely by force at about midnight Tuesday night. Where were you about that time?
Are you kidding? Do you actually expect me to provide you with an alibi?
Yes.
I would hope you'd take this seriously, Mr. Vigil.
Do you want to know where I was? I was here with my secretary. We were putting the finishing touches on a campaign speech. She left about 2 a.m. You want to know more details?
Until 2 a.m.
Thanks, Mr. Vigil. We'll be in touch if we need anything else.
been a thrill.
Motive. Massive ponce. Where is the massive ponce option? Yeah, I'll go with greed. Check alibi.
Fruity bets can't be confirmed. I haven't been able to find anyone who can say for certain whether she was at the midnight screening as she claims.
Cannot confirm at the midnight screening. Okay, who else can we check out? There was Mark Kennedy that was at the party, the antiques dealer. There's Dr. Tom McClapperty, who has a key to the pool, and therefore I think is somewhat interesting. So I guess we'll do Doc.
Heading to 7 Arrows, over.
Or not.
Okay,
It thinks I clicked 7 arrows. Is there anything here?
Your name and occupation?
George Vesco, I work for Tasker Industries, currently project manager on the Seven Arrows expansion.
Oh god, no. Middle management. Shoot to kill. Shoot to kill.
You have any idea who might have abducted Randa Tasker?
Only last week, Dan Longfoot was in this very office ranting and raving about bringing this project to a screeching halt, even if it meant burning it to the ground. He was humiliated by the court's decision to let Martin go ahead with the expansion. He took it very personally.
Okay. It's middle management, Maury. Death's too good for them.
Where were you on the night that she disappeared?
I had blueprint revisions to approve by 8 a.m. Wednesday. I worked late right in the office here. I was here from 9 till almost 1 in the morning.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks. We'll be in touch.
Motive. Maybe greed? Check your alibi. Yeah, I massively miss Night Sky blaming everyone. Absolutely everyone. It saddens me that he's no longer doing it. Okay, now I said I actually wanted to go to the doctor's one, which was Doc McClafferty.
D-52. We're on our way to see Thomas McClafferty. Over.
Okay, D-52, copy.
Because he has a key to the gate.
Is there any news on Randa?
Nothing so far. We're
He's
talking
Colonel
to everyone who might
Sanders.
help us.
Naturally, I'll do what I can.
If you'd be good enough to give us your name and occupation for the record.
Thomas McClafferty. I am a doctor in private practice here on Old Santa Fe Trail.
You've been Martin Tasker's personal physician for how long?
Well, going back to our association in Boston, I'd say almost 8 years.
And you both came out to Santa Fe at the same time?
Well, Martin offered to help set up my practice here if I made the move with him.
Isn't that a little unusual?
Well, you have to understand that Martin's a little obsessive about his health, and as a rule, a little leery of the medical profession.
Is that a nice way of saying he's a hypochondriac?
Your word, detective, not mine.
He's a very good customer, is what he's gonna say. As a American doctor, he appreciates a repeat customer.
What's your relationship to Mrs. Tasker?
Family friend. For a while, I was serving as her physician, too, until she decided to find a female doctor. Perfectly understandable.
Perfectly. Was there anything more to the relationship?
How do you mean?
We have some indication that there might have been an attachment that was deeper than friendship.
Who told you that? Martin?
Is that important?
Look, I'm not going to lie to you. Yeah, I had some feelings for Randa, as inappropriate as that may sound. Martin never appreciated her. I mean, not to the extent that she deserved. But it never went anywhere, Detective. I've resolved my feelings.
Hail, Merrick. Welcome, Merrick.
Look,
Welcome,
whatever
Rose.
happened is dead and buried.
Okay, caught feelings for her, but it didn't go anywhere.
I understand the Taskers argued a lot.
Well, Martin has been under severe financial pressure. I mean, I'm sure he's told you about Vesco.
Never heard the name.
What, George Vesco, the man running 7 Arrows for Martin? Or perhaps I should say running it into the ground would be a more apt description. And as I understand it, 7 Arrows is a page or two away from Chapter 11. My own theory is Vesco's been embezzling. Too much money disappearing too quickly.
Thinks George is embezzling. A much uglier word for it. Misappropriation.
What time did you leave the Mesa Cafe the other night?
Well, I stayed there until after the other guests left, sipping brandies until about 12:45. I took a cab home.
Cab home. At least that should be easy alibi to check.
You've got a key to the gate at the Tasker estate, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. And to the front door as well. I mean, Martin insisted on it.
You hate beach volleyball hero of the beach? Okay. Where point to where on the doll it hurt you, VGF.
One last thing, Doctor. What kind of medication is Mr. Tasker on?
A vasodilator for his heart. Nitroglycerin. Tridel's the trade name.
Nothing injectable?
Absolutely not.
On vasodilator, but no injectables, and that is all. It requires you to return 100 volleyballs in a row.
Thanks. We'll let you know if we have any more questions.
Hey, if you get any news
And thank
on
you for doing the
Randa,
shoutouts.
please, I would appreciate a call.
Okay, motive, jealousy. Wants the wife. Check his alibi.
We dusted for fingerprints on the key override to the gate mechanism. The prints were an index finger and a partial thumb, and they matched those of Martin Tasker, which he volunteered to give us the day after his wife disappeared. Also, there were no signs of forced entry, no scuff marks on the gate or the wall surrounding the area.
Forensics. Only Fingerprints on gate were Martin's. No forced entry. Well, more and more signs point to the husband. Hello? Game? There we go. And Christine?
Christine Belota says she was on the highway to Albuquerque Tuesday night, arriving at her sister's home at 1 a.m. Her sister confirms her arrival there, but says she thinks it was closer to 1:30 in the morning. By my calculations, that would leave sufficient time for Belota to have been involved in the abduction and still have had enough time to make the hour trip to Santa Fe. Her alibi, such as it is, doesn't clear her. I can't say, though, whether the discrepancy between her stated arrival time and the one her sister gave means that one or both of them is lying. Alibi status, equivocal.
Ooh. He must be lying. Or the sister, I guess. Why? Question mark. Could well have done it. Because she was angry about being fired, sure. Picture treated people like dirt. Yep. Okay. Now, who else can we check out? We were told that Dan had motive for... Well, actually, let's make a save. So we've done enough to... deserve that. We were told that Dan wanted to burn everything down to stop the development. Alright. Might have abducted to stop the expansion. That's what George Vasco said. So let's see if we can
D-52.
do this
We're on
before
our
we
way
run
to
out of
Dan
time for the
Longfoot's.
day.
Over.
Copy that, D-52.
Oh, he's got a ranch.
Dan Longfoot?
Yeah.
John Night Sky. My partner and I are with the Santa Fe PD.
I know who you are, Night Sky. Your reputation precedes you.
Good time to talk?
Yeah, I always got time for a brother. Even one who's lost his way.
I'll pretend I didn't hear that.
Job like yours, you must get pretty good at pretending. What can I do for you, detective?
Very confrontational to Night Sky. Also, wasn't he the, he was in the last one. I, really recognize his voice, but I think his name has changed. So he's playing a different character now.
You heard about Randa Tasker's disappearance?
White man's trouble. I got my hands full, taking care of my own people.
Doesn't care about missing white woman.
I understand you had a beef with Tasker.
Let me see if I get this. Because I take on Tasker for the rape of Indian lands, I'm a suspect in his wife's kidnapping.
Pretty much.
Nobody said you were a suspect.
It was only heavily implied.
How can I explain this so that even a cop can understand it? Tasker moves to Santa Fe, waves his wallet around. Figures he can mow down everything and anybody. Law says he can do whatever he wants. Law says he can throw out 24 families out onto the street. Native families that have occupied this land for 30 years. And for what? More ski areas? Another 50 time-shared condos. So another 1,000 tourists can come and trample on the land of our ancestors and right back to their families I wish you were here. Tell you what, Night Sky. I wish they weren't. Is that a crime?
No, I like your open dislike. I would prefer genuine dislike to fake friendliness. So I kinda like you, Dan.
Tasker says you threatened him publicly.
Let me tell you something, Mr. High and Mighty Detective. The real crime here was murder. And it never got investigated. And believe me, nothing either of us says or does is gonna bring back Maria Whitefeather.
The kid who died in the emergency room?
I am impressed. Smoke signals travel all the way up the mountain, huh?
You're calling that murder?
What would you call it? Tasker throws Richard Whitefeather's family out on the strength of a court order he got from a judge that he has in his hip pocket. The shelters were swamped. The family had to sleep on the coldest night of the year out in the streets. A 5-year-old child dies of hypothermia. What do you call that, Night Sky? Because in my book, that's murder.
Do you know anything about the fire at the store?
You know anything about the fire at Randa Tasker's leather goods store?
I guess the only justice left is poetic justice. She exploits her workers. She lines her pockets. She's no better than her husband, if you want the truth to be told. Like the elders say, evil breeds evil.
That was exceptionally vague. So, his basic statement about the fire is bad things happen to bad people.
Where were you on the night that Randa Tasker disappeared?
I was at a tribal council meeting till about 10 o'clock. I went home, worked on a legal document for a couple hours.
Was at tribal council meeting at until 10, then went home and worked on legal paperwork. So he definitely is available.
Is that good enough, detective?
For now.
Check his alibi. Run out of time for the day. Now, last time we got to day 3, partway through, there was the big van incident, so I expect there's going to be some other incident this time as well. There's Richard Whitefeather. So their motive would be the dead daughter. White Buffalo? Ah, the leather goods store. Yeah, we could check out people that currently work there.
D-52, heading to White Buffalo. Over.
10-4.
Good lord, that is a rusty car. Oh, it's meant to have been burnt out by the fire. Dear Randa, I was disappointed to see that you chose not to make a contribution to my July show. You've been so generous in the past, and I was a little hurt. I still plan to put your name on the brochure as a patron for your past contributions. Let me know if you want to maintain your anonymity. By the way, there's a adorable furniture maker whose stuff will be on display that I was wanting to meet from Free Tibet. I don't think it's worth taking a photo of this. It does provide evidence that they were maybe running out of money. Randa, I hope you like the roses. They were out of yellow, so I'm sending 2 dozen of the red. I can't bear the thought of you leaving me. Please reconsider. I love you more than words can say. Squiggle that I cannot interpret whose name that is supposed to be. Maybe that's Martin? Maybe it's the doctors? That I will bother photoing. Only signed M. So that could plausibly be the husband, Martin, and it could plausibly be the manservant, Manuel. It could plausibly be Doc M. Clafferty, who was known to have caught feelings for her previously. Oh. Dear Miss Tasker, I am writing this because you've refused to take my phone calls, either at the office or at your home. When you told me the reason I was being fired, I was so hurt and confused. I don't know what to say. I don't know who told you those lies about me. But I swear to you I would never steal from you or anyone else. I've already spoken to a lawyer, and he has told me that I might have a legal case against you. But all I want is a letter of recommendation that I can use in looking for other work. It's only fair. Yours truly, Christine Bellotta. Aguilaro Imports. For horned leather. That's a amazing amount of horned leather. $4,000 worth. Yeah, I'll take a photo of that. A bill of lading for a shipment from Aquarillo Imports. I really thought there'd be something in the waste paper basket. There is something in the drawer. Dear Rhonda, I wonder if you might be available on Thursday evening. La Boheme is at the Outdoor Opera in Santa Fe. I know Martin loathes opera, so I won't bother to invite him. Let me know if you're available. We can go for a late dinner at the Seminole. Always, Thomas. Thomas? Who the hell is Thomas? I don't know a Thomas. Oh, that's the doctor's first name. Okay. Okay, so that suggests that the other letter isn't from him. Yeah, I'll take that photo, why not? Because, like, they wouldn't have two letters from the same guy with different handwriting and blah blah blah. Looks like I've got everything. Oh. Game? Game?
The fire's cause was definitely suspicious. The SFPD notified the downtown fire department after receiving reports of smoke in the White Buffalo from the cafe down the street. The report shows that the disposal of rags soaked in quicklime, glycerin, and potassium permanganate caused the fire, which oxidized and combust spontaneously. Also, the sprinklers didn't initially work because the water in the building was turned off. Supposedly the plumbing had to be fixed. The damage to the building was substantial. Telephone lines, the walls, and ceiling. The insurance company representatives examined the damage yesterday, and they plan to continue today.
Okay. So we could visit the family of the dead girl, the tavern. Wasn't Mark one of the friends at the antiques dealer, who might have another suggested lead? You know what? Let's do the library.
D52 heading
Last
to the
time we should have
library.
done the library early.
Okay, D52, copy.
It's a bit more policey. Like, it's a lot more policey. It's not Nancy Drew in that you aren't rubbing objects on other objects at all. It's much more about understanding the social dynamics of all the people, their various relationships to each other, and their potential motivations for doing things. And trying to catch them out in lies based on what other people have said, or getting forensics reports done or alibi checks done to catch out those lies. Which is very different to the way that Nancy Drew plays out, where you largely don't really care what the side characters are saying. Most of the time. So it's only really very superficially similar. In terms of they're both, like, mysteries. Fire chases the white buffalo to extinction. There was a fire. The fire was definitely suspicious, said the fire chief. Rags soaked in an as of yet unidentified oxidizing agent caused the fire. Okay, so nothing that we didn't already know. Next, the Santa Fe Classic. Santa Fe Classic merges with art. In honor of the... Yeah, here's the previous game. Here's a call out to the last game. Where she died, the pot-making lady. In honor of Anna Elk Moon. Previous game, person who was murdered. Since the Santa Fe Horse Show of the early 1900s, it's hosted some of the finest equestrian events in the nation, and this tradition, the Santa Fe Classic, brings together the best in national competition. The 96 Santa Fe Classic will be no different and will take place this Saturday at the Elk Moon Stables. As always, the best of the Southwest is expected to show. The favourites this year are our very own Amy Tasker on Trident and James Headley on Sunshine of Santa Barbara, California. Last year's winner, Jane Stocker of Bridgehampton, New York, has retired and is the trainer to some of the champions that will show this weekend. The Santa Fe Classic Committee decided to stage the show in honor of Anna Elk Moon, whose unfortunate demise is still felt within the community. Her works can be seen during the competition at the main floor of her house. At this time, when most shows and riders are suffering from lack of sponsors and attendance figures, the committee hopes that the Anna Elk Moon's work will help bring in the crowds. That was the society one. What about the ski resort? So this is going to be talking about the expansion out at Seven Arrows. It's scheduled to open this winter. New skiers will be rewarded with desert dry powder snow. Hail, Shabiggest. Welcome, welcome. G'day, g'day. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. It will have quad chair ski lifts. Its uphill capacity will be 12,000 skiers per hour, with lift tickets limited to 4,000 skiers at any one time. The slopes will be uncrowded and the lines short, even during holidays. We suggest that you book ahead of time. Bob Ross? Incredible timeshares for as low as only $500 per week. Bunnies Seeking Dudes. SWB24 seeks SWD. 25 to 30 for fun and sharing of the slopes. Non-smokers only. No stem Christine. Okay, people seeking dates. Sure, whatever. We could have learned about the poor homeless girl that died. Died of hypothermia Friday evening. Her death was hours after her family was evicted because of making space for the new development at the ski lodge. She was pronounced dead at the hospital after spending hours in a makeshift shelter in an alley. Her father angrily denounced shelter officials, but laid most of the blame at the developer, Martin Tasker's feet. A lengthy court case resulted in the eviction of the White Feathers and some 28 other families from the Talpa Street apartment complex when he purchased it 2 years ago. Lawyer Dan Longfoot, who represents the apartment dwellers, said he is considering filing a wrongful death suit against Martin. All the more reason to go visit them. There's one more Santa Fe crime. This is our helper lady who does all our alibi checks and forensics. One of the most common is burglary. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. We're running presentations about burglaries. Most are done during the day when residences are empty. Leave the TV going and an answering machine recording so that you can hear things or make people think that people are home so they don't burgle your home.
There's been an anonymous tip that a black Jeep Cherokee with commercial plates was seen leaving the Tasker estate around the time of the kidnapping. We're running a 2829 registration check on all in-state Jeep Cherokees in the Santa Fe area, and we'll email you the results via your PDA.
Black Jeep Cherokee around crime scene at time of incident. They are searching for all matching plates / owners? Question mark. And Andrew's alibi. So I scroll back up in my notes to Andrew. Which was Grissom, who claimed that he was on the phone with his accountant and then playing cards with his neighbors.
Andrew Grissom's claim that he left the Mesa Cafe, drove home, and then called his financial advisor in Albuquerque was confirmed by phone records. At 11:20 p.m., he called the man in Albuquerque and spoke for 17 minutes. That puts him at home until 11:37. Then Grissom's neighbor and 2 friends corroborate that they played cards from 11:45 to sometime after 1. There's no way he could have driven to and from the Tasker residence, much less abducted anyone in the few minutes that are unaccounted for. His alibi is rock solid.
All right. Then you are free to go, Andrew. We have eliminated you from our inquiries. Let's go check out the dead girl's family.
Heading to see Richard Whitefeather. Over.
Okay, D-52, copy.
Honestly, this seems like the strongest of motives so far, other than maybe the middle manager who wants
I'd like
to
to ask you a few
embezzle.
questions about Randa and Martin Tasker, Mr. Whitefeather.
I better warn you, Night Sky. I hear that man's name and I see red. We didn't have much, but it was our home he stole. I had no power, no say in the matter. And we weren't the only ones. 30 other families were given 2 weeks' notices before we were evicted.
You tried to fight him in court.
White man's court. It was a joke. The judge was bought off.
Hey?
I know it must be painful, but could you tell me about the circumstances of your daughter's death?
Oh.
We were spending a couple of days in the shelter. But the weather turned cold and there were so many families looking for a place to stay. We were told we'd stayed our limit. And we had to find a new place. So we went to a church. And when we arrived, there was nobody there. We spent the night on the streets. Maria began to shiver. We couldn't keep up her body temperature, and by the time the ambulance arrived, she died of hyperthermia. That's what the doctors called it. I say she died because of Tasker's cruel indifference.
Maybe you wanted to pay him back.
I wanted to kill him with my bare hands. But the gods took their revenge. I read about his wife in the paper. It was only justice. I won't shed any tears for either one of them.
Blah, 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 blames Martin. Won't shed tear over Martin's missing wife. What were you doing at the time of the kidnapping?
Last Tuesday night, say between 11 and 1, where were you?
Right here at the shelter with my wife. I was gone for a little while. A friend of mine owed me some money and I went to collect.
And you got back to the shelter at what time?
I don't know, I didn't look at the time.
Family was at the shelter, but he was off collecting owed money from a friend. Not sure of the time. So that sounds both vague and like it doesn't check out.
Thank you, Mr. Whitefeather, and my condolences for your child.
Motive? Revenge. Okay. We can still do Mark, Amy, Carrie, and the tavern. Mark was the antiques dealer at the party, who, as far as we know, has no motive, and is her friend, but he might have another, like, I think this person did it statement. Let's make another save.
On our way to see Mark Kennedy. Over.
Okay, D-52, copy.
You've known the Taskers for some time, is that right?
Since Martin's arrival in Santa Fe.
He looks like he's been stretched. Like, he looks like he's been deformed this way. Someone's taken his body and, like, pulled the left half up and the right half down.
What's the nature of the relationship?
Strictly business at first. Randa did a lot of buying at the shop. Even before they were married, I made purchases for Martin on my European buying trips. Over time, we became friends.
Close friends?
Close enough that I would be one of a handful of guests at their anniversary party.
You know that there were problems in the marriage.
Did either of them give you any indication of difficulties in the marriage?
I'm sure you'd understand, Detective, that to maintain a friendship with a married couple, you don't get embroiled in their domestic problems.
Not my monkeys, not my circus, eh?
Anyone you can think of who might have been behind Randa Tasker's abduction?
I've thought a lot about it. Naturally, you've talked to Amy Tasker.
An ex-wife?
No, Martin's daughter. She's a national cutting horse champion. She has a breeding ranch just outside of town.
He never mentioned her when we spoke.
Well, I'm not entirely surprised. They've been estranged for years now. It's my understanding that Amy blames Martin for her mother's suicide 5 years ago.
Oh, he must have remarried. What is this game? It is a... We are a police person in Santa Fe. Investigating a a disappearance, possibly a murder.
What were the circumstances?
Well, you see, Martin's always had a weakness for the well-turned ankle. Cheated on his first wife big time. The woman became increasingly morose, killed herself. Amy couldn't have been more than 18 at the time. She left just after it happened.
When was the last time they spoke?
It's been a while now. She pushed him constantly. Amy's one of these self-styled environmentalists, not exactly the developer's best friend. There are rumors that she's in bed with Dan Longfoot, literally. Martin thinks she did it just to spite him. Even threatened to cut her out of his will.
How's Amy's relationship with Mrs. Tasker?
No love lost there.
So much stuff. Why the live action? Why not boss the level? Because it's fantastic. This is one of the better live action games that we've played. It does a pretty good job, honestly. It's only too corny and too cheesy sometimes. It does it the right amount. And there's lots of little, like, extra attention to detail / unnecessary but lovely world building things in there. Like that. Like the dog ad on the TV after the news report that we were actually watching that was storyline relevant. Morning, Akaturbo. She is environmentalist against the Seven Arrows expansion. So the daughter has lots of red flags. Like, blames husband for wife of her mom, is against him politically in terms of the expansion, potentially sleeping with other person who is massively against the expansion of the Seven Arrows thing. What was Longfoot's reasoning? Okay, he was basically just white man comes here and throws his money around. So it could be that he's being influenced by the daughter. And also he didn't like the poor dead girl, which is fair enough. That is a tragedy. No denying that. Where were you at the time of the incident?
Where did you go after the Tasker's anniversary dinner the other night?
I went straight home. Arrived about 11:30. Had a conference call with London over an estate sale. I was on for at least an hour.
Then conference call.
Appreciate your help, Mr. Kennedy.
No problem.
Okay. He seems to have zero motive himself. Unless maybe it's to do with greed. Check his alibi. One of the other alibi checks comes in. This was the pompous senator guy.
Juan Vigil's story that he was with his secretary all evening was confirmed by the woman, and also by a domestic at the house. It strikes me that a powerful man like Montoya could certainly hold sway over these two women, but all three stories are consistent.
Secretary and other lady confirmed it. Lovely. And the other one?
Reporters I can handle. But what the hell do you expect me to tell the Bureau when they say it looks like my people are getting nowhere fast? Now, I want some action. You let me know the instant something breaks, or we're all going to be pounding the beat.
Vehicle trace results in. So this will be about the black Jeep Cherokee. Following that up. Let's go.
Got that vehicle trace for you, detectives. Found two that belonged to companies in Albuquerque. But wait, here's one in Santa Fe. Registered to Teresa Madrone, 516 Crucita Salamar.
Was that the really angry woman? No. That's the Christine Bellotta.
Got that vehicle trace for you, detectives. Found two that belonged to companies in Albuquerque. But wait, here's one in Santa Fe. Registered to Teresa Madrone, 516 Crucita Salamar.
Teresa Madrone. We had a Teresa, didn't we? Wasn't that the name of the reporter? Back on the TV. Back at the very, very start? I think that was the name of the reporter lady. Which I didn't note down because it was introduction. And I didn't think she'd be an actual person that we can investigate.
D-52,
let's
we're
go
on our
follow
way
her
to
up.
Teresa Madrone. Over.
Copy that.
No, okay,
We
that's
just
not.
have a few questions, Miss Madrone.
Please, call me Teresa.
You work as an interior decorator, is that right?
I prefer designer, but yes, that is what I do.
Designer?
And Martin Tasker is one of your clients?
Both Martin and Randa. I've done their primary residence here in Santa Fe and their getaway house.
Your Jeep was seen at the scene of the crime.
Let's talk about facts for a minute. Last night, your Jeep Cherokee was seen near the Tasker estate just before Mrs. Tasker disappeared.
The fact is that I was very upset Tuesday night. Martin and I had had a quarrel that afternoon. I told him to end it with Randa, or he and I were through. He told me that this was not a good time to rock the boat, that him and Randa were about to celebrate their anniversary. You can imagine how that made me feel. I got pretty drunk. I decided I was going to confront Martin after dinner, even if it meant taking on Randa too.
So you drove over there?
I waited outside the gate for about 20 minutes. But when they didn't come home, I got cold feet. I didn't want to humiliate myself.
Are you claiming you left before they arrived?
I'm not claiming anything. I'm telling you the truth. I left there about 11:15 and drove back here.
We'll follow up on it. Whoever did drive off with Randa Tasker may have left a calling card.
What do you mean?
Apparently I missed a needle also in the crime scene because they keep mentioning needles now. So
You ever use a hypodermic needle, Miss Madrone?
What are you saying? That I'm a junkie or something?
I'll take that as a no.
okay, her thing is jealousy. Check her alibi. I do not feel very close to the end and we only got 2 days left. And we didn't have a big incident, right? There was no equivalent to the, we've found the car, and then we come up to the car, and then, sure, you can look in my car, and oh, what's under this blanket? Guns and the pots. With poor setup guy from last game. So I've got Carrie, the tavern, and Amy. Amy seems the most likely
We're on
for
our way
hating
to
her
see
dad.
Amy Tasker. Over.
Copy that, D-52.
Amy Tasker?
Police. I was wondering when you'd show up.
You were expecting us?
Well, my stepmother's been kidnapped, right? Unless, of course, this is all some hoax Randa cooked up to get my father's attention, limited as it is.
Apparently you don't think very highly of them.
Well, now, you're a real master of understatement. Look, the way those two live their lives, riding roughshod over everybody who gets in their way, something violent or ugly was bound to happen sooner or later.
Also thinks bad things happen to bad people.
How long have you been at odds with your father?
Let's just say it goes way back.
Back to your mother's suicide?
Very good, Mr.
Night Sky.
Mr. Night Sky. Well, you must have been treated to an earful from one of the town's run-at-the-mouths. Let me guess, Mark Kennedy? Carrie March? Or maybe it was one of those airheads down at the Mongoose.
You still blame your father for her death?
Why not? She'd still be alive today if he wasn't such a wretch of a human being. I assume you've heard of Teresa Madrone. Same womanizer he's always been.
Knows about the father's current affair. Teresa.
Is it true he's threatened to cut you out of his will?
Look, I don't want anything from him. It's blood money. All of it. Just look what he did to the Indians at Seven Arrows.
So you side with Dan Longfoot on that issue?
Unlike my father, Dan Longfoot can see beyond his own self-interest.
Okay, what is your relationship to Mr. Longfoot?
Were you involved with Mr. Longfoot?
I really have trouble believing that that's pertinent to your investigation, Detective. Or do you just have a taste for gossip?
Look, all we're asking is why are you interested in Mr. Longfeet? Where were you at the time of the incident?
Your whereabouts on the night Randa disappeared.
Well, let's see. I rented Lawrence of Arabia. I came home, watched it. You're welcome to ask the people at the video store.
Hail, Sayuza. Welcome, Sayuza. Welcome, Raiders. Thank you. I hope you had a nice time with more of Andalusian Third Way. You've certainly been making good progress.
Thanks for your time, Miss Tasker. We'll be in touch.
How reassuring.
For those of you just joining, we are playing the Santa Fe Mysteries Sacred Ground, in which we are a police person in Santa Fe. We currently are dealing with the disappearance/murder of a rich white lady and investigating all the various people in the town who might have wanted to do this, or speaking to the friends and acquaintances of the family to work out who has motives, interests, etc., etc. So her one would be greed, because she didn't want to get unput in the will, even though she says she doesn't care. Oh. Check alibi. Alert!
Dios mío, he's dead! Imposible. I can't believe it. This case is much deeper than I expected. Wait, the chief's coming on.
Well, they just found Martin Tasker's body at the construction site out at Seven Arrows. Murdered. Initial indication is some kind of blunt force trauma to the head. George Vesco, the project manager, found Tasker when he arrived for work this morning. It looks like he was rendezvousing with his wife's kidnapper. They found this note on the ground next to him. Best guess is he made the cash payoff and the kidnapper smoked him to eliminate any witnesses. Or maybe he never came up with the do-re-mi. The sooner you get out there and check out the crime scene, the sooner we get the body into the autopsy room.
The ransom note found at the scene had only one set of fingerprints on it, and those belonged to George Vesco. If you want to take a look at the note, it's in the evidence file of your PDA.
Okay, Vasco found him, blunt force trauma to head. There is a new note. Probably made cash payments, then was murdered to cover tracks, or didn't. The ransom note only has Vasco's fingerprints. The second ransom note reads, if you want to see your wife alive, bring $200,000 in cash to Seven Arrows at 2 a.m. Come alone. Tell the police, and she dies.
George Vesco's claim that he was working in his office at the Seven Arrows project from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. cannot be confirmed. There is a night watchman on the premises whom I interviewed, but he never made the rounds of the offices, and he can't be sure that Vesco's car was parked in the lot during the entire 4-hour interval. Alibi status, unconfirmed.
Okay. Alibi doesn't fully check out. Security man cannot confirm, but neither does he deny. The security man is neutral. Okay, we're meant to go out to Seven Arrows and get the new dead body, so let's do that.
Heading to Seven Arrows, over.
Okay, D-52, copy.
Love? Forensics report. Photograph. Look at notes. A grimy canvas glove. There is a pungent substance on the glove. It smells like camphor. There's a walking stick? Forensics report. Take photo. Investigate. A short loop of rope, 10 inches in diameter, attached to a 6-inch wooden handle, found by the body. Order a forensics test for fingerprints, plus any traces of flesh, fiber, and blood. No, I'm happy with these as they are. The shovel? I sure don't think that's strawberry jam. Take a photo. Check shovel handle for fingerprints. Order forensics test on blood and dirt traces on the shovel. Find origins of the shovel. Blunt injury. Forensics report. Go. Take photo. Go. Blunt trauma injury to the head. There's no footprints. And let's pixel scroll. No, that's the exit area thing. There are abrasions on his wrist. Forensics, go. Photograph, go. Abrasion marks on the wrist, reddish in color. Perhaps he was tied up with this rope thingamajig? We have the head. But that looks like everything. Unless I've missed a needle in this scene as well. Bloody needle in a haystack, if you ask me, but... Thomas's alibi?
Of remaining at the Mesa Cafe and sipping brandies until 12:45 is flimsy at best. The bartender and the waitress confirm his presence at 11:15, but neither remember seeing him again until midnight. In theory, he could have come and gone and committed the crime.
Alibi doesn't check out. Bar staff. Not sure when left / there. Yeah. Okay. Look at all of these. You are more important. Then murder daughter. Then Dan. Then Teresa? Where do I want Teresa? Where do I want the husband's jealous mistress? I'm willing to put that after the daughter and before the... No, I can't in good conscience put it before the dead daughter person. So, daughter, dead daughter, mistress, man who's sleeping with daughter, presumably, and guy who is patently not involved. No, I don't see anything else. Then again, I obviously missed the needle on day one,
Forensics will be closing off the murder scene at the end of the day. Also, you may want to search Tasker's office for some clues. So, Detective, you may now re-interview all suspects. To issue an arrest warrant, please proceed back to headquarters. But remember, Chief Weber will give you only one shot at making an arrest. Good luck.
Oof. Let's go into the offices. Please insert disc 2. Give me a sec. So this. change this to disc 2. Go up. Go to disc 2. Thank you. Okay. We're back to George Vasco, but this is after finding the body.
I got here at about 6:10 in the morning. I saw Martin's Jaguar. I thought he was here to go over plans. Saw him sprawled on the ground. I called 911 right away.
Got into office at 6:10. Thought boss was here to talk about work. Immediately called ambulance. Sure.
I didn't touch him. It was obvious he was dead. I did pick up the note and read it. I guess that was pretty stupid.
Where were you around 2 a.m.?
I went to bed early last night. I woke up around 2. I took the dog for a walk around the block. When I got back, I took a sleeping pill and finally went to sleep around 3.
Walking the dog is his defense. Not the dog ate my homework. The dog was my alibi.
I just got notified that Dan Longfoot called in a 911. Supposedly, a cage of scorpions was dumped on his back porch. Also, I wanted to let you know that the chief has requested that you ask questions directly and that I give you alibis for the re-interviews priority. Buena suerte.
I'd kind of like to play that
I
again.
don't know if you caught it on the local news, but Tom McClafferty, Tasker's doctor, he just made a public statement to the kidnappers, appealing to them not to harm Tasker's wife. He said he'd come up with the money they asked for. Now, I've told him and Amy Tasker to call you first if the kidnappers contact them.
Okay, Doc Taffety TV interview about giving money if needed as a ransom. The gloves.
That camphor smell in the glove you found was bag balm. It's used to treat muscle soreness in horses. You'd be hard put to find a horse facility in this town that doesn't use it. There was no other trace evidence on it that I could run down, and the glove itself is sold in dozens of outlets in the area.
Horse medicine, which could be the daughter, and it could be the daughter's paramour, Mr. Longfoot. And what about George Vasco's second alibi? Where is Vasco? Here.
A neighbor across the street from Vesco's home confirms that he took a walk around 2:10 in the morning. They noticed someone on the street at that hour and were initially concerned it might be a prowler. They recognized Vesco walking his dog on closer inspection and were quite relieved.
Okay. So whatever he was doing, he wasn't doing the murder of the husband. We should make our save Because I meant to go to the police station and ask someone to come in for questioning. But we still haven't spoken to who? We haven't spoken to Carey March. And we haven't spoken to Mark Kennedy either, the antiques man. And we haven't been to the tavern. So let's go visit Carey. See who she thinks did it.
D-52 proceeding to Carey March residence. Over.
10-4.
Can I pour either of you a
Oh
sherry?
no, not her
Sorry,
again.
we're on duty.
You don't mind if I indulge?
This was the rich gossipy old lady from the last game.
You attended the Tasker's anniversary dinner at the Mesa Cafe, is that right?
Yes. It's quite an evening. And then to be capped off with Randa's kidnapping.
How do you know that it was a kidnapping?
Well, I only know what I heard on the news. The very thought gives me chills. I was hoping you could tell me more.
Why, it gives me the vapors.
How long have you known the Taskers?
Well, it was Randa I was closest to. We've been friends ever since I moved to Santa Fe. As for Martin, I can't say I know him even today.
Close to Randa, but doesn't know Martin.
Can you think of any reason someone might abduct her by force?
Detective, you know the old saying. You can search and search the wide world over, but sometimes the answer's in your own backyard.
Are you
Oh,
saying
you think
that
it's the
Mr.
daughter?
Tasker could have been behind his wife's disappearance?
Goodness, did I say that?
I don't really have time for games, Miss March.
No, of course not. Have you heard the name Teresa Madrone?
No, ma'am.
No, she thinks it's the...
Ostensibly, she's the Tasker's interior decorator. Frankly, her real designs have always been on Martin himself. My sources tell me that the affair's been going on for 6 months. They go horseback riding on the weekends. Randa's never been identified with the horse she said. And truth be told, I don't think Martin cares much for it either.
There's certainly riding involved, but no horses. Ugh.
Do you think this had anything to do with Mrs. Tasker's disappearance?
Well, Randa knew about the affair and was extremely unhappy about it. I don't know Teresa, but I've heard she's a woman to be reckoned with. Now, the irony is, Martin is a very jealous man himself. He couldn't have handled Randa being driven into another man's arms. He's one of the most possessive men I've known. Like that business with Thomas McClafferty.
The wife says to the husband, "You're the most possessive man I know," and the husband replies, "You know other men?" But she did provide new useful information, namely that we now know that the wife did know about the affair. Which up until now could have been, she could have been in the dark about that, as far as we knew.
Was there something going on between Mrs. Tasker and her husband's doctor?
Nothing you could call infidelity. It's quite one-sided, really. Thomas had been in love with Randa for some time. Randa confided in me that he even made the proverbial move on her when Martin was out of town some months ago. She rebuffed him, of course. Thomas was devastated.
Was Mr. Tasker aware of it?
I can't say for certain. I don't think Randa would have told him. And I don't think Thomas would have been invited to their anniversary dinner if he had. Men are curious birds. I've never understood them completely.
Okay. Doesn't think Randa or Doc would have told Martin, and suspects that if Martin did know, Doc would not have been invited to party.
Anything else you think might be pertinent to our investigation?
She's not even a potential suspect.
But I've got a million questions for you.
Another time, Miss March. Thank you.
We can't be providing information to the gossipy old biddy. No, she is a potential, but we couldn't ask her about her alibi. She's busy being depressed as an old lady. Yours can get added to the back of the list, why not? The final day. New save. The other person that we hadn't spoken to was the art man, Mark Kennedy. But apparently we're not allowed to anymore. Interesting. Well, we can still go to the tavern, though.
To the Mongoose Tavern, over.
10-4.
I don't know if you've had the pleasure of meeting the best of Santa Fe's armchair detectives. Left to right, Carla Vedanta, upholsterer psychic, resident expert on Naga hide and extrasensory perception. Graham Haggerty, cowboy poet. If it happens in Santa Fe, Graham knows about it. Charlotte Mabry makes her living as an expert witness in forensics. And last but not least, Cliff Lodgepole, man about Santa Fe.
Cliff Lodgepole. So these are exactly the same as last game, I think. Last game, we had to spend 15 minutes of him just staring at us. He wasted 15 of our minutes to just stare at us, and I was grumpy. No, I didn't want to leave. No, I am willing to load that. Except it doesn't think I saved. Well, I guess we aren't getting to talk to any of those. Rip. I'm not allowed to go there. Again. That's so sad. I wanted to see if he'd spend 15 minutes staring into our eyes once more. Alright, so we've got to decide. Who do we think it is? I'm sure I hit save, but apparently not. Okay, maybe I only hit OK on the naming and not OK on the saving. Yeah, that'll be the story. I only hit OK on the naming and not the saving. My bad. My bad.
Heading back to headquarters, over.
Copy that, D-52.
Time to use the arrest warrant PC. I want to issue a warrant for the arrest of... Wow. Okay, so, on the charge of... It looks like we can solve multiple crimes. We can solve who did the arson, who is currently supposedly doing kidnapping, would be my other one. It's either arsony, kidnapping, or like arsonry murder. There's also possibly conspiracy to do these things. And the fact that there's 2 here is suggesting that. The suspect entered the estate by climbing the wall, using a key, tricking Randa, or picking the lock. Attacked Randa at what time? With a chair, a robe, pills, the needle, or a brick. How the hell am I meant to know that? The suspect met Martin Tasker at... We know that it was about 2. Was killed with the shovel. The ransom money was or was not relevant to the crime. The motive for the crime was these things: revenge, jealousy, robbery, greed, or depression. So, reasonable suspects. Also, can we look at our... this? I'm surprised it isn't giving us the grid thing that it gave us last game. I thought it would give us the same format thingamajig. But this has changed. And we've still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 alibis getting checked. There's no way we can check them all before the end of the day. There just isn't enough time. There isn't enough time to get all of the blunt trauma injury, like all of the stuff from the crime scene done either. That's rough. So, whoever did it, they're supposedly done both of these murders because it's only one form. I was thinking it could be 2 separate things, but the fact that this is like this suggests that it's only one person. So, potential people. There's Senator Man, but Senator Man seems weak. Even though... And his alibi checks out, so no, not Senator Man. It can be the guy that found the dead body and whose fingerprints were on the thing. But he can't have done the other one because he was walking his dog, so no. It can't be Andrew Grimson because he couldn't have been... He was confirmed to be playing cards at the time of the first one. Christine Bellotta is confirmed to have been lying about her alibi, and the timing does work for her. And that would make sense for her wanting to do the arson, to get back at her for being fired from there. It can't be this, because we know that it... No, 1:30 is the time. So presumably they must have been attacked at 1. I don't know how we're meant to know what she was subdued with. Like, you don't subdue someone with a hypodermic needle. Or pills, or a robe. Maybe a chair. A brick sounds the most reasonable, but I must have missed more things in that first scene. It could be the friend free to bet, but they're nominally friends, so that seems weak. It can be Manuel, but that also seems weak. The doctor is... possible, because his alibi didn't check out, and he does have a key, so he could just get in by tricking the wife. So is he abducting the wife? Kidnapping? So he kidnapped the wife and then he murdered the husband would be the order there. He tricked his way in / used his key. Presumably if he did it, he would do it with pills? Like, I can't see him violently subduing her. We know that it was around 2. The ransom money was not relevant. And he's jealous about the wife, would be the reason for the doctor. There, that's how... Am I allowed to do this? Or I can go interview him again from the looks of it.
D-52.
So, okay.
We're on our way to see Thomas McClafferty. Over.
Okay, D-52, copy.
No one can remember you at the cafe at the time of the issue.
Yeah, it's true. I wasn't there the whole time. I was drunk. I was upset at seeing Randa so happy with Martin. I took a long walk trying to figure out how to win her. It was a stupid fantasizing. There's no way I could have acted on it. I knew I couldn't bite the hand that feeds me. Life is unfair sometimes.
Where were you when he was killed?
Well, nowhere near 7 Arrows, if that's the implication. But I know I took a late drive to the local Alsops. But by 1, I'm sure I was back home.
At the local Alsops, then home at 1? So it sounds like he definitely is, at least his claimed story doesn't exclude him.
Dr. McClafferty's alibi of remaining at the Mesa Cafe and sipping brandies until 12:45 is
No, I want new...
The bartender and the waitress confirm his presence at 11:15, but neither remembers seeing him again until midnight. In theory, he could have come and gone and committed the crime.
I didn't want to play
Alibi
the...
number 2.
Oh, here we go.
The convenience store owner confirms that McClafferty was there at about 12:45 a.m. but that doesn't account for his whereabouts at the critical time of 2 a.m.
Doesn't cover time of murder. Now that's really interesting that I don't have to click the button and spend time getting the follow-up. Like I assumed we would have to time manage the time for getting this follow-up alibi, but we don't. It just appears to automatically be gotten if you already did the previous part's alibi.
Dr. McClafferty's alibi of remaining at the Mesa Cafe
No,
and sipping
I wanted
brandy
mail.
until 12:45 is flimsy at best. The bartender and the
We're gonna
waitress
have to wait.
confirm his presence at 11:15, but neither remember seeing him again until midnight. In theory, he could have come and gone and committed the crime. Alibi number 2. The convenience store owner
Also, I don't think they were meant to be recording the
but that doesn't account
alibi number 2. That really sounds like getting the cue for your please say your VA lines now. What about the rope?
Your buddy Graham Haggerty called me. That rope loop is used in barns to lead horses, and also by vets and shoers. I found some horse hairs embedded in the rope fibers, but unless you want to test every horse in the area for DNA, I'm afraid it's not going to be of much help. Abrasion marks on one wrist are consistent with the twitch being used to move the body, or to hold the victim during injection.
That seems more and more like it was the doctor doing it, because used to hold them during an injection.
The convenience store owner confirms
No.
that McClafferty was there at about...
We already listened to that. Amy Tasker?
Amy Tasker's story that she rented a video on Tuesday night was confirmed by my interview with store personnel at the Southwest Video branch on Rio Madre. There's also computer paperwork which indicates that she rented one tape at 10:41 p.m. There's no way to confirm or deny her story that she went home, watched it, and didn't go out again that evening. Alibi status: unconfirmable.
Did rent video, don't know if watching it. Unconfirmed. Still a valid suspect. What do I do? Do I go with the abrasions, the blunt injury? I think we go with the shovel and then the blunt injury, but I'm going to be out of time if I do that. So we only get maybe one more of these. So I'm actually kind of big on the doctor now. Of the remaining ones, do we think it was lady who described lady as bitch? The daughter? It can't be the husband himself because he's now dead. I also want to know why I'm allowed to go here. I don't think that's saved. Oh, it did save. Why am I allowed to go back
heading
here?
to White Buffalo. Over.
10-4.
Has it changed? No, it hasn't changed. So we don't actually care to go there, no. I'm most willing to believe it was this lady, out of the remaining. The daughter has some reason to dislike the father, but not enough to want to abduct the wife, as far as I'm concerned. I can't see her... She only has, like, half the appropriate motive.
Proceeding to Christine Bellata's residence. Over.
Copy that.
Where were you when Martin was murdered?
I was, At a party at a friend's house, got in at 3 in the morning. There are 5 people who can tell you that.
After murder, alibi, was at party with 5 people. Thank you for your time. Her part 2 alibi?
Bellotta's account of her whereabouts was confirmed by 3 individuals, whom I interviewed separately. They all say they were partying until a few minutes after 3. Her alibi's a lead pipe singe.
Okay, cannot be her. The daughter?
We're on our way to see Amy Tasker. Over.
Copy that, D-52.
Where were you when your dad was murdered? Why weren't you straight with us about sleeping with Dan Longfoot?
What went on between Dan and me had nothing to do with any of this. I don't see why my private life should get dragged through the mud. But you should know his killers already found me. This was slipped under my door an hour ago.
Ooh. Just wanted her private life private. About not telling us about Mr. Longfoot. You think we should wait until the very last moment, Frankie? The trouble with that is it takes you time to issue the arrest warrant, so you cannot leave it till there is 0 time left. It just will not work. Your father was a fool. He wouldn't the something. If you make the same mistake, Randa will die, and so will you. Something, $200,000 in cash, large unmarked bills, no cops. I'll let you know where and when to meet me.
Just sit tight. Let us know the minute they try to communicate with you.
Look, they said they'd kill me. I mean, where am I going to come up with that kind of money?
We can't even be sure this came from your father's killer. It could be someone trying to pick up a quick jackpot.
Where were you when your dad was murdered?
Well, I've been here since early evening. I don't think I went out once.
I was at home the whole time. No one can confirm it.
Same as the others. The only makeable prints on the ransom note were Amy's own, and the letters were cut from magazines. Again, the glue used is available anywhere. Remember, the report is in the evidence file of your PDA.
Your father was a fool. He wouldn't pay the money. If you make the same mistake, Randa will die and so will you. Get $200,000 in large unmarked bills. No cops. I'll let you know where and when to meet me. And then her part 2 alibi?
Nothing I've come up with adds or detracts from Amy Tasker's story. She says she was home all evening, and she did order a pay-per-view movie by phone, which started at 1:15 and ran till 3:10 a.m. But of course, there's no way to know whether she was there to watch it all.
Did order pay-per-view movie, but cannot confirm it was watched. Unconfirmed. So it could still be the daughter. And what about the guy who lost all the money in the investing? No, because he was confirmed to be playing cards at the time. So he's not guilty, even though that would make sense. I was thinking, like, this... People keep demanding money with these notes. Maybe it's the money motivation that is the important thing.
Richard Whitefeather's claim of being at the shelter for most of Tuesday evening is borne out by several shelter residents and one counselor. However, by his own admission, he left at about 11:30 to pick up a check from a friend. I spoke to the man, who incidentally catches and raises desert animals for medical research. He wasn't there when Whitefeather allegedly came by, but he did say that the envelope he left for Whitefeather under a doormat was gone when he returned home at 12:30. Alibi status only partially confirmed. There's still a theoretical window of opportunity.
Right, and there was that dumping of scorpions on the other person's lawn, which would match with visiting this guy who raises desert animals for medical purposes. So he was at the shelter before the incident time, but not accounted for at time of incident. The shovel?
The shovel that was used to knock Martin Tasker out was from the construction site.
Shovel was from the construction site. That is a lot less than I was... It took them 3 hours to work that out. I feel like I was robbed with that forensics time invested. Oh well. We can go ask Richard Whitefeather. His part 2, where were you when the guy was
Heading
murdered?
to see Richard Whitefeather. Over.
Okay, D52, copy.
So it's either this guy for his daughter or the doctor trying to make the lady love him by abducting her and getting rid of the husband. Which seems a bit more far-fetched. This one seems more reasonable.
Yeah, I helped him. I mean, I had to find some way of making a living after we were thrown out of our home. But we collected lizards mainly.
Yes, I helped gather animals, but mostly lizards. I think you're lying through your teeth.
I didn't kill Martin Tasker, unless you think wishing someone dead is the same thing as killing them.
I only wished he was dead. Where were you at the time of the murder?
No. There'd been a shortage of space, and only women and children were being allowed to stay here. I curled up in a barn that I drove to out on the arroyo.
Curled up. Was it a bar or a barn? I didn't catch bar or barn. Then drove to the Oyoya. Well, if it was a bar, I sure hope he wasn't driving afterwards. And then part 2 of your alibi?
A farmer out on the arroyo, Wayne Gibson, says he saw a man matching Whitefeather's description leaving his barn at about 6 this morning, and that the man left on foot. He was going to call the police, but decided against it.
Okay, so it can't be him. He was too busy sleeping in a barn? Seems confirmed, or at least partially confirmed. Ooh, the tavern is available again. I want to visit just so I can hear everyone's stuff that I accidentally skipped earlier. Check that it's saved first. Good.
D52 to the Mongoose Tavern, over.
10-4.
Okay. Do you spend 15 minutes staring longingly into our eyes?
I don't know about the murder and kidnapping, but I think I can help with that arson case that's still unsolved. A professor friend of mine from the University of New Mexico, a chemistry professor, he was buying some supplies from a chemical supply house. He came across some information that might be of interest to you. A week before the fire at the Randa Tasker leather goods store, a woman bought a bunch of supplies from that store, including potassium permanganate and glycerin, also quicklime.
Those aren't incendiary agents per se, but they're great oxidizing agents if you're interested in spreading a blaze in a hurry.
Forgot the most important part. The buyer, Christina Bellata.
Okay, that adds weight to it being Christina. Forensics lady, what do you have to say? No, this time she's the one who spends 15 minutes staring longingly into our eyes. Forensics lady wastes our time.
I heard you found a twitch at the murder scene, Detective. You know that funny little rope loop with a wooden and metal handle? Wendy told Charlotte you didn't know what it was, so I took the liberty of telling her. She used to control horses. Slip it over their nose, give it a couple of twists, that horse follow you anywhere.
They do work.
Before a theory is well proposed, one must, on occasion, be led by the nose. By my count, there's at least 5 suspects with a connection to horses. Dan Longfoot was grooming his horse when you first interviewed him.
Yep. The
Amy
daughter.
Tasker breeds cutting horses. Richard Whitefeather's last job was cleaning stables at the Rockin' V. Teresa Madrone used to go horseback riding with Martin Tasker. Don't forget Juan V. Hill raises horses on his ranch.
No,
That
not
doesn't
one.
explain what it was doing at the crime scene. Speaking of which, I doubt seriously that Wendy's going to find that Tasker died of blunt force trauma. Not from her description of the head wound. My guess is the man was knocked out with a shovel and then he was injected with something nasty. Remember the syringe used at his wife's abduction?
No, I don't know about the syringe because I didn't find the syringe. And I put so much effort into rescanning that area, right? And all we found was the clothing. Oh, God. I was determined to not make the same mistake as in the murdered lady's room from the last game, and yet... Okay, Cowboy Man said... It's so obvious, though. I didn't see it! You saw me scanning everything! There was the door to the other area, the clothing, and then the door to speak to the husband. I'll see it the second I check the VOD. Probably. Okay, what were you actually saying, Cowboy Man? Cowboy Man was saying... suspect... Well, it wasn't actually him, it was the forensic expert lady. Husband... Probably not cudgeled to death. Injected lethally. And his other thing was something that I've already forgotten. Finally, Psychic Lady.
Detective. Thought you ought to know, Detective. The judge who threw out that case the Indians filed against 7 Arrows. He's one of Juan Vigil's college chums. You know, the senatorial candidate? That didn't come from stargazing. I've redone one of the judge's classic cars. It slipped out in conversation. I've got the strongest feeling Randa Tasker's not long for this world. Hours at most. You've got to find her. The Scorpions left at Dan Longfoot's home. They could be important.
I don't know, come on, Scorp. Scorpions are important. And the other thing, Senator Man, new judge, presumably influenced judge. Now, the fact that she thinks Randa is about to die implies that it isn't the doctor. Because the doctor wouldn't want to kill the lady that he loves, which only leaves the Indian man with the dead daughter.
Heading back to headquarters, over.
Copy that, D-52.
That isn't the way that the form is getting filled out, Frankie. This form needs us to implicate only a single person. So the remaining... Oh, I didn't go revisit Angry Lady, did I? No, I did. I did revisit Angry Lady. Where's Angry Lady notes? No, she was at the party till 3. It can't be her. So yeah, it only really leaves Indian guy.
Heading back to headquarters, over.
Copy that, D-52.
Okay. Let's try. So, we think it was Mr. Feather on the charge of kidnapping and then murder. How did he get in? We don't know. There was no... We know the lock wasn't tampered with. It could be using a key, it could be climbing, it could be tricking. It doesn't make sense when we were told that it was a keypad type lock that it would be picking. That doesn't make sense. So of the remaining 3... I'll go with climbing a wall. That has to be before 1:30. Presumably the injection that we don't know about. Maybe it was horse tranks. Wait, was it 1:30 or was it 12:30? I should have been writing down that time more detailedly. You know what? We can use this. And yet, no, we cannot. Can we use this? We could, but that would only replay everything. There are still 1, 2, 3, 4 alibis with 0 time, so there isn't enough time to check everyone in the whole game, which is a bit rough.
I've cut you as much slack as I could. Now you're going to have to make your move. I want you to make your arrest now, but the evidence better stick.
Hurry up, says our boss.
My check of phone records confirms that Teresa Madrone called the Tasker residence at 2:15 to 2:21 on Tuesday afternoon. As you know, she admits to being in the area of the Tasker residence at about 11 p.m. to 11:15 that night. According to your report, Wally Chandler puts her vehicle in the area at about 11:40 or later. But when I spoke to Mr. Chandler, he backpedaled on those times, saying it could have been 11:30 or even a little earlier. He also pressed me on details of the reward. I think you'll agree that Teresa Madrone has no alibi to speak of.
Must be earlier, because 11:30. Alibi. Check. No is a big no. But her thing doesn't make sense in terms of it all being horse stuff. Now, her claim was that she left just before the incident, which was meant to be like half an hour after this. So, I now know that time for the other thing. It's blunt injury.
Time of death, based on liver temperature, state of rigor mortis, and blood pooling, is consistent with 2 a.m., give or take 30 minutes. The shovel that hit Martin Tasker just knocked him out. Concussion. What killed him was scorpion venom.
Okay. Forensics. Shovel from construction site. Not the murder implement. It was scorpions. Venom. 30 minutes left. We think it's the Indian man. We aren't sure how. He met at about 2. He was killed. Presumably with a hypodermic, because otherwise the scorpion... unless he was attacked with scorpions, and this doesn't list scorpions. The ransom was not relevant. He wants vengeance for his dead daughter. And it was meant to be after she left, so it's either one of these, but I've honestly forgotten the time of the wife's supposed death. When was the guy meant to be watching TV and etc.? 10:30. Didn't hear screams. No, it's got to be 1:30 to 1. Because otherwise everyone's alibi checks for the time period of 1 to 1:30 don't make sense. Okay, this is my best. Not supported by evidence. I'm sorry? Maybe it wants the other option for this. Or maybe it doesn't like the hypo? And the hypo. The fact that the part of the robe was missing might be the big... No, Frankie, please stop suggesting it. It definitely is one person because there is a single form here. the robe. It could be that the robe thing was missing, so that could be the important thing. But it just feels like I'm being super punished here for missing things in that first crime scene that I specifically did try to search, so I'm a bit grumpy about that. We'll try tricking and robe, but this is the last go. We run out of time. Failure.
Sorry I've got to do this, but your 5 days are up. The FBI's on their way over to take over the investigation. I want all your paperwork on my desk within the hour. Night Sky, I'm temporarily assigning you to narcotics. And you, my friend, I'm giving you a desk detail until you've sharpened your skills enough to go back to homicide.
Oh, ouch. If we go back to the very, very start, can we find the things I missed
Tasker Estate, over.
at the very start? That tiny orange thing that is part of the shirt as far as I'm concerned. Ay, 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 ay. And I meant to find something at a wall? I mean, I'm not redoing the whole thing. No, that's... To me, that looks like it's part of this cracks and these tiles. Supposedly the chair? It stands out, though. Maybe when it's you and this big. When it's the tiny DOS-box window for me, no. It looks like it's part of this. There is a little bit of space between it and the t-shirt for their little areas, so I do have to give them that at least these areas of interest don't overlap, even if it is very fine. The chair makes no sense, and we're meant to find something... Wasn't this the helper man? No, I don't care about you.
I don't know what...
No,
Chief
I don't
Weber.
care. Stop it.
If this was a kidnapping, Mr. Tasker,
I don't care.
there might
Stop
be
it.
an extortion.
I'm trying to find out what, if anything else, I missed here. Like, why does this look addable if we then can't do... Ah, I was meant to... No, but I did that. We found that there was no thingamajig there. The thing above the robe? What thing? This thing? Oh my god. Okay, there was a pill. But we know that's just from the husband, because he was carrying his pills around. That's explained by the story. That is fine. This is suspicious. No. This view should be like, maybe this big. And they should all be nice and clearly separate and big and obvious, and not look like that. These ones... Damn it, there is a tiny space between the two areas that isn't the same interactable area, but that's very nearly the same interactable area. Ugh. That hurts. And so much flows on from that, right? We were meant to have found that needle. The pill I don't care about, because that was explained by the story, but the fact that other things are mentioning this needle that we literally didn't find is poor form of the game.
Heading back to headquarters, over.
Copy that, D-52.
So, what else is it then? If it isn't him on kidnapping and murder... What doesn't it like about the first evidence for first thingy? This doesn't make sense because there's no evidence of it being forced. Unless pick means, like, picked in a way that doesn't leave evidence of it being broken, which... Not the chair, because the chair is there. It could be the missing robe. The pills makes no sense. These two are valid. And I like the hypo now that we know that it's there explicitly rather than just because we were told about it when we didn't find it. 2 o'clock is that one. Maybe it wants the shovel, even though he was killed with the scorpion venom? Like, that's also unclear. The only other way that I could see it going is if the wife is just going along with this to escape the husband. Because she knows about the affair, her own business has just burnt down by angry ex-employee, and she actually does feel bad, potentially, about this guy's daughter. Like, there are multiple ways in which I could believe the wife is going along with this to get out and get money. But then she doesn't need to be subdued at all, right? So this is actually strongly implying that it must be she's not going along with a conspiracy. You think she found him laying there and used the chance to get rid of him? That doesn't make any sense. The husband wasn't there. She's the one that's at this first scene, and that I'm saying it doesn't make sense because she wouldn't have had to have been abducted here. She would have just left and made it. Like, the fact that this form says that something was happening in the first instance implies that it's not just she's setting it up, because this form must be true stuff. Might be that he cares about the money to get a new home, Mr. Homeless Man. Yeah, so too many of these are ambiguous. Money could or could not be a thing if it's him, depending on whether you care about him being homeless and having his house stolen. This, both the shovel and the hypodermic, makes sense in terms of scorpion venom being delivered by the needle. I do not like this. This seems bad. I much prefer the old one where all we had to do was say, person, does their alibi check out, and order the arrest warrant. Mystery game was good until the end here, Welly. Until we have to fill in this whodunit at the very end thing, where there are multiple answers that make complete sense, and multiple interpretations that make sense that we have not got a way of differentiating, and then it just says, no, one of these is wrong. I'm not giving you an arrest warrant. So, like, I've really, really enjoyed this one up until here, aside from those missing objects in the first scene, which is the fault of framing the scene wrong. It was me in the select... No, it was a hypodermic needle full of, horse tranks for the first one, Welly, as far as we can tell, and for the second one, it was scorpion venom, which we have explicitly got confirmed. The horse tranks are only suspected, but the scorpion venom one is. Hypodermic of scorpion venom. Well, technically it's only confirmed that it's scorpion venom. We don't know that it was injected totally. The way that they've worded it, it could be he threw scorpions at him to scorpion venom him. But anyway. Well, I want to see the actual ending, so we're not going to feel shameful about looking this up. When this form is garbage. I got the second one, or I got the first game pretty reasonably, and I don't feel like I've done a noticeably worse job this time. If anything, I feel like I've done a better job. They have left too little time. At least in the last one, we could just barely, like, squeeze in all of the alibi checks, kind of, or at least all the relevant ones, all the ones that weren't obviously necessary, like gossipy old biddy. This one has left even less time in terms of the alibi checks, where it feels like you're meant to play it through multiple times and you're meant to play it through multiple times and then start not taking actions to not spend time on those actions. So the one I want, which is Richard Whitefeather, is supposedly for murder and kidnapping, and apparently the order there matters, which is, again, stupid. That tricking was the answer, which we have no evidence for or against, so that's terrible. Apparently this was earlier than I remembered, but this one is on me for not noting down well enough. The hypo is the correct one for this theoretical answer. 2, check. Hypo, not shovel, check. And not relevant. Revenge. Let's try that one. Approved.
Heading back to headquarters, over.
Copy that, D-52.
They're separate incidents, Welly. They kidnapped the wife and then later they murdered the husband. So I wanted to put... them in the order of kidnap then murder, rather than murder then kidnap like this supposedly wants. How do I... I'm at the police station. I wanna interview them at the thing.
Copy that, D-52.
Why can't I now interview them that they're here? Or do you need to do more than one person? Apparently you can just issue unnecessary arrest warrants. Okay, another valid one is Indian man, who is supposedly doing it for the same reasons. And this again has to be the wrong way round, which is weird. Who did so via tricking. Again, apparently Indians only know how to trick. Also midnight, that one's my fault as before. This is the hypo. This one is 2. This one is hypo. In this case, it's not relevant, because he's just killing them to prevent the development of the ski lodge. And I didn't change the name because I'm an idiot. But I can't do this because we haven't ordered a second alibi interview and there's no time. And the first one is still completing because there's no time to do all of the alibi checking that you need to do. Ugh. And the other two are the woman who is the correct... No, it's not angry woman. It's the daughter? The official answer is the daughter. I don't like that. And the official other wrong one, but wins the game anyway, is the doctor. Good, because he was my preference. I'm happy to go with that one. So doctor. The only thing we said didn't make sense with the doctor is that he wouldn't have abducted the lady in the first place. So let's see what this does. Murder and kidnapping, check. We then want... He could just use a key. Yeah, because he has the key. Midnight, hypo 2, hypo. In this case, apparently the money is relevant, which I don't understand. Why would it be relevant if you were the doctor? Maybe because he's trying to run away with the kidnapped wife to start a new life. Okay, I can see that. And then the answer is jealousy because he wants the wife. Just one sec. Please no fake answers, thank you. So, you have been warned. Enough stupidness. Apparently we are allowed to do this one. A warrant has already been issued for this offense. Really? Let's try it again. Murder and kidnapping. Used key. Midnight. Hypo. 2. Hypo. Apparently it was jealousy go. Okay, it says it's already been done. And then the one that we actually needed, which was the daughter, which I don't think that... I find that unconvincing. Like, I find the daughter's Indian guy to be more convincing than the daughter's Indian lover, than the daughter herself. Supposedly the correct answer of daughter for murder and kidnapping, and we have no reason why the daughter would want to murder the wife, as far as we know. So that's terrible. Midnight via trick. Horse tranks 2. Hypo. She's grumpy about being kicked off the wheel. No, she's not. She's just covering her tracks. And revenge for her dead mother. No. Warrant already issued. Why are you telling me it's already issued when... Oh, I meant to
Heading
go
see Richard
arrest the
Whitefeather.
guy.
Over.
Okay, D-52, copy.
What the hell do you want now?
So you're not allowed to
Mr.
batch...
Whitefeather, we're placing you under
batch
arrest
make
for the murder
arrest
of Martin
warrants.
Tasker and the kidnapping of his wife, Randa.
I already told you I had nothing to do with it. Nothing.
You have the right to remain silent.
What about my family? I'm not gonna let you take me. I'm not!
You okay, partner? Thought we'd lost you there. Another couple of centimeters and you would have been pushing daisies. Whitefeather's in custody for attacking you, but we struck out on the murder charges. He's clean. Sorry, but you're off the case until you recover. Captain's orders. But don't worry. We'll keep you posted if we ever crack this thing.
Oh, okay. Let's try the doctor one. So
Heading
here,
back to headquarters. Over.
try issuing one for the doctor and not anyone else, so that we don't run into you are trying to issue too many arrest warrants. Which I assumed you'd be allowed to issue all of them and then go arrest, 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 bring them in for questioning. So it's you, the doctor, on kidnapping and murder, but in the wrong order, which is stupid. Used his key. Midnight. Hypo. 2. Hypo. Is relevant. Jealousy check. Check, check, check. Check, check, check. Check, 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 check. Now we can go arrest him, see what he does.
D-52, we're on our way to see Thomas McClafferty. Over.
Okay, D-52, copy.
Doctor, please.
Whoever it is, Tanya, tell him I'm not receiving any patients for the rest of the day.
Going somewhere, Doctor?
What the hell is this?
We're placing you under arrest for the murder of Martin Tasker.
No, you can't. I didn't do it. I swear to you.
I'm filling a bag with money because I'm completely innocent.
Nowhere near that. This is all I could scrape together. Look, if you don't let me go, Randa is going to die and the blood's going to be on your hands. I'm her only hope right now.
He's trying to do the ransom, okay.
Amy called an hour ago. She's been in touch with the kidnappers. I told her I'd help raise the ransom, and that's what I'm doing. Now, they're going to kill Randa and her if they don't get this money. And she made me swear not to bring the police into it.
And you just happen to have this amount of cash lying around.
No, it's not my money, it's Martin's. It was supposed to have gone to the V-Hill campaign. Now look, while we're talking around here, God knows what's happening to her.
Where are you supposed to bring it?
Look, Amy was supposed to come here, get the money, and go alone, but I insisted on going with her.
Where?
Off of Route 503, past Pewaukee Creek, the Nanambi Pueblo, about a mile north or so of Chimayo on a dirt road. Look, I'm supposed to meet her there in an hour.
And you're still gonna meet her, only you're gonna have some company.
So this is wrong answer, but supposedly you win the game anyway.
I've cut you as much slack as I could. Now you're going to have to make your move. I want you to make your arrest now, but the evidence better stick.
No, we already had this. Go away. Nor do we care about those. Go away. Yeah, I get you want me to look at those, but I don't care.
D-52, we're heading to the Chimayo ruins. Over.
10-4.
This is where she said to meet her?
Yeah, I'm sure of it. We're just early, that's all. Randa? Oh, jeez. Randa, get you out of here. Easy now.
It's over. It's over.
Not quite. Hand me the money, Tom.
Amy, put the gun down.
Give me the bag, Tom, or I'll use this, so help me God.
You're under arrest for murdering your father and the kidnapping of Randa Tasker.
Never were any kidnappers, were there? It was you. It was you all along, Amy. Why? How could you do it?
Hold up there.
Gave a damn about me. Or my mother.
You have the right to remain silent.
Your mother is literally in the room, and you kidnapped her, stepmother.
You have the right to talk to a lawyer and have him present with you while you are being questioned.
Yeah, no. We don't have any reasoning for her to hate the new
Amy knew she would never see a
mom.
dime from her father, and couldn't bear to see Randa live like a queen, not after what happened to her mother. So she decided to kidnap Randa and make it look like Martin was behind it. She drove Randa to Chimayo and hid her in a pueblo. When her father showed up at Seven Arrows without the money and threatened to turn her in, she had no choice but to kill him. Trying to make it look like Dan Longfoot had executed Tasker in an Indian ritual, Amy used scorpion venom and then left scorpions at Longfoot's residence. She then tried to get the money from Tom, who she knew was in love with Randa and wouldn't let her die. It almost worked. The completed lodge of the expanded Seven Arrows ski area opened 2 weeks after Amy Tasker entered New Mexico State Prison. Amy Tasker was tried and convicted to life imprisonment for the kidnapping of Randa Tasker and the murder of her father, Martin Tasker. While in prison, she wrote a book entitled Murdering Thy Father, which is currently on the New York Times bestseller list. Christine Bellata was tried for the arson fire at the White Buffalo leather goods store, but was acquitted for lack of evidence. Bellata and George Vesco met during the investigation and are planning to marry but have not set a date. George Vesco, now running Seven Arrows, continues to fight rumors of embezzling and just bought a new home in the affluent Tecate section of Santa Fe. Randa Tasker recovered from her injuries and severe dehydration and married Dr. Thomas McClafferty 3 months after her husband's funeral. They divorced 6 months later, citing
He moves on quick.
irreconcilable differences.
But then
Teresa
immediately got
Madrone sued
divorced.
Juan Vigil for sexual harassment, thus ending his political career.
Very, very nice work, you two.
That bit I don't understand.
There's nothing I like better than telling those pitheads at the Bureau that their services won't be needed. You made me look good. But hell, that's your job. Take a few days off. A couple, anyway. The last thing we want is to get caught with our guard down. You know Santa Fe, nothing happens till it happens.
I want to look at the other ending. I want to look at the other 2 arrest things. So, what I will mention here as well is we won the other game on our second try. Our second, like, here are the 2 people that it makes sense to be the murderer. I went and looked at some of the other endings for the other game off stream. If you blame the angry woman from that game, the one that was jealous about her, like the ex-wife, she pulls a gun on you, says, that woman, the one that was dead, already ruined my life once, I'm not letting it happen again, and shoots you dead as you go to arrest her. It is bad end. So I'm interested to see the other potential bad ends here. We already got stabbed by, dead daughter man, and I want to see what happens if you do the boyfriend of the daughter here. Does he try and cover up for her? Yeah, this one is, I think, stronger, with the exception of the arrest warrant part. Totally. I think it would work better to have the old arrest system, and that way you could also try to issue an arrest for the fire setting, right? You could do one to set an arrest for the grumpy lady who used to be employed by instigator lady who has been kidnapped. Her her ex-employee that's obviously set the business on fire. If you had the old arrest system, you could issue one arrest for her as like, you've gotten this bonus hidden extra crime done, not just the main crime of the game.
Heading back to
And
headquarters.
that would work better.
Copy that, D-52.
I don't know why they made it this big questionnaire with it cares about what order these are in and it needs to be in the stupid order, and there are multiple interpretations that make sense for is money relevant or not, depending on who it is, even if it's for some of the other possible but not the fully correct answer. When did this come out? They're like 2005, I think they were. Where were we? No, 1997, I'm sorry. I'm massively wrong. Okay, they're DOS games, so it doesn't make sense that they're that late. Yeah, that makes sense. I shouldn't have said that. Something about them was reminding me of that. So, I wanted to check out boyfriend of daughter. So, Mr. Longfoot, who she wouldn't admit to when we interviewed her that she's sleeping with, on the charge of murder and kidnapping. I'm not going to be allowed to do this because of the alibi situation. Can I...
I've cut you as much slack as I could.
Can I fix that?
Now you're going to have to make your move. I want you to make your arrest now, but the evidence better stick.
Oh, when did the ad-libs... I have no idea. Sorry. I thought you meant when did this first come out. Is there enough time to reprioritize the ordering and get his done? There absolutely isn't. So I'm not going to be able to find out about him unless I have a save earlier in the day, which I am interested enough to do. I want to find that out. So 6. Can I reorder this and get it done in time? No, I can't even do that if I read. So, no, we're just going to have to live without that one. And then the other one is if we blame the daughter directly.
Heading back to headquarters, over.
1960s. So you were way off the mark. At least I'm a bit closer than you were. I can feel a bit better, Welly, so thank you. If you do the daughter directly, do you get the same outcome? So, murder and kidnapping. She did not have a key, so she did it by tricking her stepmom. Midnight. Hypo. 2. Hypo. She supposedly does not care because she wants revenge for her dead mum. Go to arrest her?
We're on our way to see Amy Tasker, over.
Copy that, D-52.
What the hell are you doing here?
I could ask you the same question, Doctor. What's in the bag? Could there be $1 million in there?
There's nowhere near that. It's all the money I could scrape together. Look, if you don't let me go, Randa's going to die and her blood's going to be on your hands.
Okay, largely the same, but slightly different first
Amy
scene.
called just an hour ago. She's been in touch with the kidnappers. I told her I'd help with the ransom, and that's exactly what I'm doing. Now, they're going to kill her and Randa if I don't get this money to them. And she made me swear not to bring the police into it.
And you just happen to keep this kind of money lying
Hell,
around?
even these lines are basically the exact same lines,
supposed to
just
have been delivered
acted
to a
out in
Juan
front
Vito
of
campaign. Look, please, while
the
we're
daughter's
standing around
house
here
instead of
talking,
in the
God knows
doctor's
what's
office.
happening to her.
Where's Amy?
Look, she was supposed to meet me here with the money. She called a few minutes ago.
Oh,
She wants
this
me
bit
to go
is a
with
little
her
bit
to
different.
exchange the money for Randa. She's afraid they'll take the money and kill her.
Where are you supposed to meet her, Doctor?
Off of Route 503, past Pewaukee Creek.
Teeny tiny
Navi-
differences, though,
well,
really.
I don't know, a mile or two north of Chimayo on a dirt road. Look, I'm supposed to meet her there in just over an hour.
You're still gonna meet her there. You're just gonna have some company.
And then this will be exactly the same. Yeah, this would be exactly the same. So we'd go there and that would play the exact same thing. I'm willing to bet.
D-52, we're heading to the Chimayo ruins. Over.
10-4.
This is where she said to meet her?
Yeah, I'm sure of it. We're just early, that's all.
Yeah, that's exactly the same. Okay. No,
Amy knew she would never see a dime from her father. Amy
yeah.
Tasker was
That's all
tried
exactly
and
the same.
Very,
Well done, well
very
done.
nice work,
Have a
you
holiday.
two.
Yeah. I'm willing to go slightly further back to see if we can blame the boyfriend. I want to see what happens. Does he go to shoot us or stab us? Worst timeline so far is we get stabbed if we blame Indian man whose daughter was killed by now dead man's sort of being an evil capitalist. To be extremely reductionist. To like shorten the whole story of that down into one sentence. And as we said in the previous game, if you get the worst outcome by blaming the angry woman, she outright just shoots you dead. Which I liked finding that out off screen. Okay, earlier one. Can we?
Heading back to headquarters. Over.
Copy that, D-52.
Can we rearrange so that he's at the front, then pass enough time so that we can get his alibi thing checked.
D-52, heading to White Buffalo. Over.
10-4.
D-52, heading to
Why
the
isn't
library.
this consuming
Over.
time? Come on, this is meant to consume time. I need time to pass so that I can then do the...
D-52, proceeding to Tasker Estate. Over.
Copy that, D-52.
have the alibi check finish. Oh, and I was meant to come here and check his office again once he died. Yeah, this matches with, he was threatening to have the daughter cut out of the, Oh my god, it's a floppy disk drive. Oh, it might be a CD drive. Yeah, that's an IDE port, so that's a CD drive, not a floppy disk drive.
Marty, Juan. I don't know how many times I have to tell you. I don't want that pissant McClafferty calling my home. I told you I didn't want any middlemen involved. If he calls me again, there's gonna be hell to pay.
Marty, it's me. I'm alive, but I don't know how much longer I will be. I'm being kept tied up, and I don't even know who's doing this. I guess they drugged me. If I knew, I couldn't tell you anyway, because I know they're listening. Oh, please pay them whatever they want. I know I'm gonna die if you don't. For God's sakes, Marty, please help me.
Okay. Not finding this room is on me. I was meant to have understood when they said after he was murdered to go check the office. I thought they meant the office at the building site, not the office back at his home. So that is at least partially on me for not understanding that correctly. It doesn't look like there's anything else other than this. We learn more about his... Ah, this will actually consume time though. Taking photos eats time, so taking photos of all this stuff unnecessarily is one way to get our time progress that we need. And memory was you can just take more than one photo of the same thing. So that will... That is a bit of a fault. The game shouldn't let you take multiple photos of the same thing and invest time in it. It's silly.
Dan Longfoot was at the tribal council meeting even longer than his own account of leaving at 10.
Ooh.
3 witnesses say he didn't leave until 10:15 p.m. A downstairs neighbor heard him arrive sometime after 10:30 and never heard him leave again that night. However, the woman says she took a bath at 11:30 and wouldn't have been able to hear him had he left after that time. No way to confirm his story of working on a legal brief at midnight. Alibi
Okay.
status, equivocal.
Unconfirmed. Then we have to go ask him for a part 2 of his alibi.
D-52, we're on our way to Dan Longfoot's. Over.
Copy that, D-52.
I had a message to deliver. I wanted to
So
get
about
their
the
attention,
threatened arson.
but I was only speaking figuratively. Besides, you think Tasker thought twice about bulldozing the homes of all those families? I don't think so.
Did you have anything to do with the arson at the store?
Jesus! What am I, you all-purpose suspect? Listen, if you want my scalp, Night Sky, you're gonna have to work for it. My beef was with Martin Tasker, and no, I wasn't the one who killed him. I assume that's where you're going with all this stuff?
Where were you when he was murdered?
Dead on my ass. I went to sleep at 10. You can ask my neighbor. She's a real snoop. She knows every time I come and go.
And why didn't you tell me about your affair with the daughter?
I wouldn't call it a full-fledged affair. It was, an encounter. Came on the spur of the moment. Personally, I think she was trying to get back at her father. When I ended it, though, she didn't take it very well.
Oh, it's over. That's news to us.
Think that's funny, Night Sky? Some sicko left a cage full of scorpions at the back of my place.
To implicate
Where I
you.
come from,
Okay.
it's a pretty ugly threat. And children play back there. Someone could have gotten hurt. Need some evidence? You're welcome to take them with you.
I was hoping to go get the case and look for prints on the case, but okay. And part 2 of your alibi?
Unable to corroborate Longfoot's alibi, a neighbor does recall seeing his lights go out around 10:15, which approximates his claim that he went to bed at that hour, and she can't remember hearing anything from his unit after that. Of course, that could also mean he went out and didn't get home until very late.
Yeah, that's a bit weaker. But it's still unconfirmed. Still suspect. Okay, we should be able to go issue you with an arrest warrant and then find out if you shoot us.
Copy that, D-52.
Now that we have your part 2 alibi. So, Dan Longfoot. For kidnap? No, it has to be the other way around, which is stupid, but yes. Now, what did you do? Did you trick? Yes, trick. Midnight, hypo, horse tranks, 2, hypo. Not relevant? Not relevant. Revenge for dead girl / getting people kicked out of their houses. Go arrest him. And then we are done.
Granted, Longfoot's alibi couldn't be corroborated, but it seems too bizarre that he would draw attention to the MO of the scorpion poisoning by putting a cage full of scorpions on his own porch and then calling the police about it. I just don't see it. There's a lot of tools in the investigator's kit. One of them's common sense. It's a no-go.
But you gave me the arrest warrant.
Here, I've got to dish this off to the Bureau. And if we're lucky, the trail's not too cold. Let me give you a little piece of friendly advice.
It literally gave me the warrant and then says, I gave you the warrant, but no.
Get out of my face.
Yes, but no. Alright. And with that, we have seen all of the endings. There's Doctor that leads to Daughter directly, murdered daughter man who stabs us and puts us in hospital, and guy that was sleeping with daughter, which leads to yes but no that we just saw there. I do think this is better than the previous one on the whole. It is unfortunately too tight with all of the alibis that you need to check. It definitely needs to design the first evidence scene better so that you actually either A, definitely find all the things, they're nice and big and obvious to find. 2, it shouldn't mention things that you didn't find throughout the course of the game the rest of the way there, because we didn't find the needle, yet tons of the dialogues that we had with people was like, do you have an explanation about the needle? Do you use needles? Are you in any way associated with needles? Which doesn't make sense because we didn't know about it. The filling out the arrest warrants in the end is worse, but everything else is better, I think. I still liked the music, I liked the acting, I liked the dialogue. I felt like the people have nice motivations and they have nice interplay with each other. It feels like a fleshed out world where all these different things are happening. I would really like to have also found the extra little crime about the angry ex-employee of the lady that was kidnapped, burning down the business. It's just the ending and the timing being too tight to make you play it multiple times that are the weak points in my eyes. Otherwise, lovely game. And thanks again to Maury for bringing the first of these to the channel so that we got to see the second as well. Cheers all. And with that, that means we are done for the day. Who, if anyone? You wouldn't be wanting to start Welly? Maybe? Otherwise, we'll probably throw you all over to Edgar. Or Pisces. Yeah, we'll go with Pisces. Sadly not. There's no more Deus Ex at the moment. I've been looking forward to seeing more of your Deus Ex. Welly is currently playing Deus Ex. But, oh well. We'll leave you in the capable and caring hands of Pisces. Pisces are lovely people. I hope you had a nice time with this. I had a nice enough time, aside from the ending. Ending a bit... I don't like that the suspect that is supposedly the one at the end seems like one of the ones, to my mind, that has the least actual motivation to harm the wife in any sort of way, and that there are several more motivated suspects that you just get told off for even trying to suggest that they are the people, even though they don't have valid alibis, etc., etc. Oh well. Peace! Enjoy the rest of your Saturdays.